The rain hammered against the courthouse windows as reporters crowded outside beneath flashing police lights. Thunder rolled across the dark sky, and every news station in the city was covering the same story. After 12 long years, the case of the murdered Anderson family was finally coming to an end. Inside the packed courtroom, an old man named Walter Hayes sat in handcuffs beside his lawyer. His gray hair was wet from the storm, and exhaustion filled his tired eyes. For over a decade, the city had believed he was a monster. The police claimed Walter had murdered wealthy businessman Richard Anderson and his wife, Emily, before kidnapping their 6-year-old daughter. Everyone hated him. Everyone except one person. At the front of the courtroom sat Judge Daniel Harper, a powerful, respected man known across the country for his harsh rulings and spotless reputation. The media called him the face of justice. But today, something felt wrong. His hands trembled slightly as he flipped through the case files. Sweat formed near his collar despite the cold air in the courtroom. Because moments earlier, a young girl had quietly entered through the back doors. Nobody paid much attention to her at first. She looked around 14 years old, wearing an oversized gray hoodie and holding onto a small silver necklace tightly in her hand. Her nervous eyes scanned the courtroom before settling on Walter. The old man froze. Tears instantly filled his eyes. The prosecutor stood confidently before the jury. "Your Honor, the evidence is clear. Walter Hayes murdered Richard and Emily Anderson 12 years ago before abducting their daughter, Lily Anderson. We asked the court to sentence him to life in prison." Murmurs spread through the courtroom. Reporters scribbled notes quickly. Walter slowly stood up. "I didn't kill anybody," he said weakly. "I saved that little girl." Judge Harper slammed his gavel. "Enough." Silence returned instantly. Then suddenly, a quiet voice echoed from the back of the room. "He's innocent." Every head turned. The teenage girl stepped forward slowly, her hands shaking. Judge Harper frowned. "And who are you?" The girl swallowed hard. "My name is Lily Anderson." The courtroom exploded into chaos. People stood from their seats. Reporters rushed toward the aisle. One woman in the gallery gasped loudly before covering her mouth. Because Lily Anderson, the missing child from the Anderson murders, had supposedly disappeared forever 12 years ago. Walter Hayes began crying silently. Judge Harper's face lost all color. "That's impossible," the prosecutor snapped. "Lily Anderson is dead." The girl looked directly at Walter. "No," she whispered. "He saved me." The courtroom fell silent again. Lily slowly walked toward the witness stand. "When I was 6 years old," she began, "I woke up during a thunderstorm because I heard my mother screaming downstairs." Her voice trembled. "I walked to the top of the stairs, and I saw men inside our house." The jurors stared at her without blinking. "One of them hit my father. Then another man pulled out a gun." Several people in the courtroom looked horrified. I hid behind the staircase, but I could still see everything. Tears rolled down her cheeks. My dad kept yelling at them. He told them he would expose them. Judge Harper shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Then Lily slowly raised her trembling finger and pointed directly at the judge. "He was there." The courtroom erupted. Judge Harper instantly stood up. "That is absurd," he shouted. "This girl is confused." But Lily reached into her hoodie pocket and pulled out a small silver necklace. "This fell on the floor that night." A police officer carefully took the necklace and examined it closely. His expression changed immediately. Engraved on the back was a single letter, H. Judge Harper's breathing became heavier. Lily looked directly into his eyes. "I never forgot your face." Walter lowered his head and cried openly now. "I found her hiding inside the burning house," he said. "I heard gunshots while driving home that night. When I went inside, her parents were dead, but Lily was alive." The courtroom remained frozen in shock. "She was terrified," Walter continued. "I knew whoever did it would come back for her. So I ran." The prosecutor looked completely speechless. Judge Harper slammed his gavel violently. "Security!" he yelled. "Remove this girl immediately." But before anyone could move, the courtroom doors burst open. An older detective stepped inside carrying a thick evidence folder. "No one leaves this room." Judge Harper's face turned pale. The detective walked toward the center of the courtroom slowly. "My team reopened the Anderson murder investigation 3 months ago," he announced. "And we discovered evidence connecting Judge Daniel Harper to the crime scene." Gasps spread everywhere. "That's a lie," Harper shouted. The detective opened the folder carefully. Richard Anderson recorded a private audio file hours before his death. The room became deadly quiet. The detective pressed play. Static crackled through the speakers. Then a terrified male voice filled the courtroom. "If anything happens to my family, Judge Harper is responsible." The courtroom exploded again. Judge Harper stumbled backward. "No," he whispered. Then another voice played through the speakers. A cold, angry voice. "You should have stayed quiet, Richard." Everyone recognized it instantly. It was Judge Harper. Several jurors looked completely horrified. One reporter nearly dropped her camera. Judge Harper suddenly ran toward the side exit, but police officers tackled him before he could escape. "You can't do this!" he screamed. "You have no idea who I work with." The detective stared at him coldly. "Daniel Harper, you are under arrest for conspiracy, murder, corruption, and obstruction of justice." The former judge's face twisted with rage as officers dragged him away in handcuffs. Outside the courthouse, thunder shook the sky again, while reporters shouted questions from every direction. Inside, Lily stood frozen in place. Walter slowly approached her. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Lily suddenly hugged him tightly. "You protected me," she cried. "Everyone thought you were evil." Walter's voice broke. "I promised your father I'd keep you safe." Many people inside the courtroom wiped tears from their eyes. For 12 years, an innocent man had been treated like a criminal, while the real monster sat in the judge's chair pretending to serve justice. But the truth had finally survived. Over the next few weeks, the entire country became obsessed with the case. News channels revealed that Judge Harper had secretly worked with corrupt businessmen, police officers, and politicians for years. Richard Anderson had discovered their crimes and threatened to expose them. That was why they killed him. And they would have killed Lily too, if Walter Hayes hadn't found her first. Soon after, Walter was officially declared innocent. The city that once hated him now called him a hero. One quiet evening, Lily and Walter stood outside the courthouse together as the sunset painted, the sky orange and gold. The storm was finally gone. Lily looked up at the clouds softly. "My mom used to tell me something," she said. Walter smiled gently. "What was that?" She took a deep breath. "The truth may stay buried for a long time." Her eyes filled with tears again. "But eventually, it always finds its way back into the light."